the whole reason why I started it. It was to be able to like connect and have like real deep conversations and like meaningful conversations
Totally,
too,
yeah.
that have like certain structure and stuff like that. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm honored that you were able to come.
Dude, yeah, I was stoked to be here. Like when I saw you were doing it, I was like, oh, he's on to something.
Hell yeah.
I was like, he's on to something over there.
Yes, dude.
Now I'm like I started being terrified because I was like, this is like all my personal shit. Ooh.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Today, we are joined by Jackson Lee, a recording artist in Phoenix, Arizona, and viral TikTok star.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow, man. Okay, I got a story about the Josh Peck thing, dude. Okay. I don't know why. Yeah, it blew. It's got like 40 million or something, like pushing 50 now. It's like the weirdest thing ever.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by one of the most talented musicians I know personally. He's the electric frontman of Phoenix-based rock band Viper Club, a viral TikTok star, and a great friend.
Oh.
Everyone, welcome Jack Vanderpool.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here.
Good to be here, man.
Yes, sir.
It's like when you say that, I expect other people to be like, yeah. Like waited for it for a second. That's me being an egomaniac in first person right there.
Dude, like, in front of our live studio audience.
In front of the live studio audience. What's up?
But yes, man, thank you so much for being here. So on Mars, we dial in on creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. So that's why you are a great fit for this, because you fit that in so many different boxes, man.
Dude,
I've gone on tour with you. I've seen you live so many times. Yeah. I've written music with you that hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah, so you gotta do more too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just, but yeah. So thanks again, man, for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. This is so cool.
Thank you, bro.
Like when you started this, I remember like just being like, oh, and then I kind of said it before, but he's on to something. I was like, yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
So to kind of get it started, I want to just go back to both of us grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So this is
nice.
We ended up in Arizona, which is funny.
Weird.
But growing up in the Midwest, I remember playing outside a lot, being like somewhat of like a neighborhood kid, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Can you relate to that? Is that kind of how you guys grew up?
Yeah, dude. Like when I lived in St. Louis, like that was like my like Nate and I's time where we like really played outside. And I don't know if it was the same for you, but like when we moved here and we were like relatively young and it was different. Like no one played outside because it was hot during the summer. So it wasn't as common. And like we walked outside because we moved over during the summer and we were like, why is no one outside? But back in the day, like we lived on like a cul-de-sac. And like, you know how the cul-de-sac goes, like that's like the spot. And so we would like every single day, like it didn't matter like what was going on, if it was raining, if it was snowing, if there was like asteroids falling out of the sky, like we were outside, like, and that was it. And like we were climbing trees and like beating the hell out of each other with swords and like run down to the cul-de-sac and like causing shenanigans and stuff like that. And it was like, that was like my childhood. And I feel like whenever I moved away, like that part of my childhood stopped, which was like wild. So the Midwest, like for that reason, has that place in my heart of like just like freedom, you know. Absolutely. Which is so weird because it's like landlocked, you know. So it's like I feel like ocean should give that vibe instead, but it's wild.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like the summers, when you're talking about your childhood, it reminds me of my own childhood and those kind of like going outside when it's summer vacation and like being out till the sun goes down, like that type. Just going outside just for sake of being outside. Like you just make games up and things like that. Was that how you and Nate were always? Like since you guys were babies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Like we were just, all that stuff. Yeah. And in, cause you were in Detroit or Michigan.
Yeah.
Right?
Grand Rapids.
Yeah. And like, did you get the fireflies up there?
Oh yeah.
In the summer? Oh
yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
That's a staple of like Midwest summers for me.
Yeah. There's like people that straight up don't know they exist. It's crazy.
It makes sense though. I mean, if you grew up, it's like people that have never experienced snow. That's always wild to me,
Yeah.
because I lived my majority of my life, like, you know, with the cold, but I was going to say not liking it, but I did like it as a kid. As a kid, I loved it.
Yeah, because
I relished in it just to be able to put snow pants and go sliding down a hill. That was so much fun. But as I grew up in 18 plus, I was just like, okay, this is for the birds.
We had this hill in my backyard.
Yeah.
And it was so like we lived on a cul-de-sac, but the neighborhood like kind of went up. It like spiraled. You drive in and you kind of like circle all the way up. And like my abode was on the top, and we had like these grassy hills just like flowing down each way. And so when it snowed, it was like Six Flags in my backyard. It was nuts.
People would just roll up, just like sleds in hand, just like ready.
Dude, everyone was at my house.
Broken
like,
arms
trash
after.
Can lids, sleds. Like,
dude, that was dangerous, bro. I remember we would take some sketchy sleds down those hills, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's that energy of like being a kid and like not knowing what can happen. I think that's like such a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, it really
it's like
is.
The curiosity of just like I might get hurt, but like I won't know if I don't try.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like that's the ignorance that is bliss.
Yeah,
like without it, like just being a kid, not having any care, any regard for what will happen to you. Like you're saying, like on a sled where like you could break both your legs at the same time. And you're just like, if it happens, it happens. I'm 5. Like you're like, whatever. And like that, like, I feel like attaching ignorance as bliss to that concept makes it such a sweeter sentiment than just like being an asshole, like, for no reason or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's like,
a good point.
That's like my vibe on that. Like, I'm just, like, that ignorance is what I miss.
Yeah.
Like not knowing and not having the responsibility to know.
Yeah. It's interesting when you put it like that, because I never really thought about, because that phrase kind of sometimes has a negative connotation to it when you say ignorance is bliss, because it's just like you're choosing not to know for just so you don't have to confront the feeling or work through it or whatever that is. But ignorance is bliss as a child is like the complete opposite meaning, where it's just like you just don't have a care in the world, and you're ignorant to the negativity around you or like the possibility of something happening.
Totally.
Which is, I guess, a gift and a curse, because it's like
really is.
You're like oblivious sometimes. But again, it's just like it's part of being a kid, and I think that's something like playing outside and like getting hurt and like figuring out like how a sprained ankle feels young, because you're running in the backyard too fast or something. Like that type of stuff is like, those are core memories in a way. So it's like it's almost like they teach you things earlier, because it's like you learn from your mistakes and stuff like that.
Isn't it crazy? Like when you have those core, like the only reason you develop those is because you didn't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Like it's like, had I known, like my core memories would be different. Like if you just came out and you just knew, like your core memories would be like it would feel like you started from like your 20s and then just went on, because you knew everything and you didn't, like, it would take you until like the first time someone hurt you to know, or like the first time someone like made you really happy, or like the first time like that emotion came from somebody else. Like that's when you would like understand. That like blows my mind. Like if you came out and just knew it, like it'd be totally different.
Like when it happened to you, it just like didn't affect you, because it's like, oh, I've already been here, done that. Just like the classic like 50-year-old man type of vibe.
Totally. Like they're not making core memories at 55. You know what I mean? They're making them like 10 and below. Like you can choke on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're the ones that are like taking other people's like potential core memory situations and like killing them. It's just like. It's like, oh, back in my day.
I didn't collect action figures. I collected traumatic core memories. Sorry. Oh, man.
That's why I got to destroy yours now.
I got to destroy. Oh, that's good. That's good.
So you obviously are a musician.
Yeah.
You and Nate both. So what kind of music was playing around in the house? What kind of music taste did you guys have early on?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, my dad was in rock bands with his brother growing up and stuff like that, and they played around Iowa and whatever. And my mom was like a huge like hair metal fan, and so a lot of it was hair metal. Like when we grew up, like like Aerosmith and Van Halen and Led Zeppelin was a big one.
That tracks.
Yeah, and So that was a lot of that. And then we would we stayed at my grandma's house a lot because my parents had a lawn care business at the time, and so they were like always working like super hard and stuff like that. So we would go hang out with grandma, and with grandma it was like Queen and like Jimmy Cliff and like Earth, Wind and Fire and like all this stuff, and like that music was like, I feel like what made it like not like, I don't want to say achievable because I don't want to like downplay that music, because that music is like incredible, you know, but like it made sense in the way of like, I feel like I can convey this, or like whatever this is, like this spirit of music, like, and by that I like through like Jimmy Cliff and like Queen and like Earth, Wind and Fire, like those examples, like really it's just like there's so much humanity in that music, and it's like it's really cool, and like that's what like I think connected with us, and like wanting to like communicate humanity like through music, like having a place for other people to like live, you know. And so that's, I guess, where we lived first.
Yeah.
You know,
I think those are great legends that end up, I can like hear that in your sound.
oh yeah,
And it's crazy I've talked about this with every single one of my guests so far, where it's like the sparks of your past life as a child end up playing into who you become as adult.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
Big
a
time.
big one right there for both of you guys. Like
Yeah.
those types of influences, like had you grown up on a different music type or no music at all, like
Yeah.
would you be the person that you are today? Which is like crazy to think about, which I
Yeah.
don't think you like you would be. You know
No,
what I'm
I
saying?
didn't even think about it till now. I
It's
was
like-
like, oh,
Because it makes sense.
yeah,
It's crazy.
It really does.
And
crazy.
and the way that you say like where you heard it and it almost made it seem like you could do it.
Yeah.
I feel like because of the use of real instruments, and those artists, a lot of them were simplistic in a way with their mixes. So
Yeah.
where it was more so like the storytelling and the songwriting itself,
Yeah.
that was the like the biggest thing. You know, it was just like
Yeah.
you could hear the separation in the different parts when you listen to them, especially if you listen to them on like good speakers or headphones or something. You could start to hear the different placement of things. And something I want to go into is you guys both have a quality about you, synesthesia.
Oh, synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
I think that's what it's called.
I have no idea.
Dude, I don't know either.
So when did you find out that you guys had that? Like when did you realize?
So for me, I was in the car. So at the time, my dad and I were driving back home from something. I think it was like some like gathering of like friend or something like that. It doesn't really matter. So we're driving home, and at the time, like I had trouble sleeping because when I would try to go to bed, my ceiling fan would be on, and I could see it. And like it would be like light blue, like, and so like all like that noise is like very like light blue, and so I would have like problems sleeping because it would give me anxiety because I'd be like laying there, I'd be like, something wrong with me? Like, am I having a like a crisis right now? But I was like 7, you know, so I didn't really know what that was, and so I asked my dad, and I was like, hey, like, I just asked him if there was something wrong with me, and he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, like when I try and go to sleep, I see like colors with sounds, and like I see them all the time, and like I feel like I'm going crazy. And he's like, I have no idea what that is. I was like, okay, cool. And so like
son, you might be
you might be an idiot. And he was like, I don't know. And like, so after years, I was like, I'm gonna just do my own research because whatever.
Yeah.
And turns out it's a real thing. It's synesthesia. I feel like it's getting more recognized now.
Wait, so you were never officially diagnosed as a kid?
So yeah, I was not diagnosed with it until I was like 16.
Oh,
when I saw my
wow.
first like psychiatrist, and she was like, yeah, you definitely have it.
Wow.
It's nuts.
And if anyone doesn't know that's watching this, synesthesia is a quality in humans that's kind of semi-rare, but it's amazing, where basically you see and associate colors with sounds.
Mhm.
And this can be with just any tones. This can be with music, and it's crazy. With you, because I did a little bit of research on it, and I've heard that like some people see different colors for like different tones. Is it like that with music as well? Like, do you see different colors for different pitches?
A little bit. Like, so I've always had like this thing, like where like I could sing like on a key like without hearing myself, because I can like I can see it's like a weird thing where like I guess my brain is like picking up like my throat vibrate or like whatever it is, and so it looks like a heartbeat monitor in my head, like, and it just kind of just does that. Like
Have
when
you
I'm
ever
singing.
played Rock Band?
Yes.
So it's kind of like Rock Band.
Yes, it's kind of like Rock Band where like it flows, and that's a better one. Yeah.
Oh.
And so it's like, and it's not like there's not like lines and like you can't like I don't actually know where the key is, but I can like I visualize my vocals when I sing, and so that is like what happens for me on that. But I also see like different colors with like music, like you're saying, like tone and stuff. Yeah, it totally changes.
Yeah.
Like even like halfway through a song, like if a song's like really long, or if it's just got like two sections that are like very different in mood or whatever, like they'll like it'll flip, like it'll be like orange and then like boom, it's purple, and then like yeah, it's weird. But it like the way I describe how I see it is like you remember like the old sleep screen for like a Windows computer where it would like go all over with like the colors and stuff, or like if you were like listening to music, it would like play a little visualize, like that's kind of what it looks like in my brain. That's weird. Sick. It looks like molecules,
and that's only when you close your eyes.
Yeah, like if I close my eyes, I like will focus on it better, but like I typically will just like see it. It's just at this point, like I've had it for so long, so I just like kind of like deal, you know, I just kind of like, it doesn't like inhibit me or anything. It's just like when I hear something, or like even like the room, like the very subtle room noise right now is like, it's green to me. So like, it's like just, it's like little green, like, you know, which is weird because I'm on like a very red show.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But it's wild. Like even like your voice has a sound. Like your voice is like pink.
I have a pink tone.
Yeah. Pink voice. Yeah.
This is crazy.
It's wild.
No, this is so fascinating to me because as I was doing the research, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like to the point where like people have different, like the same quality, but it's like a different version of it where you might see my voice as pink, someone might see it as orange.
Yeah.
Which is so wild.
That's
to
bizarre.
Me. We're just like, so there's no this is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It like it blows my, because I've never met anybody else with it. That like that's the thing. Like I like the numbers must be low, or I just don't have friends. But like like either way, like
does Nate have it as well?
Nate, like I remember Nate talking about like having it a little bit, but he doesn't really talk about it too often. So like either he just is keeping to himself, which he does do, or he just like kind of had a time where he like maybe thought he had it or something, or maybe he had it, or maybe he still has it. I have no idea. Yeah. I wish I knew though.
We'll have to have him on Mars and talk about it.
You will. You will. It'll look just like me. Actually, I'll look just like him technically because I got the blonde hair now.
But he is your younger brother.
Yes.
Yes. So shout out Nate.
Yeah, shout out Nate.
The freaking boys, man.
The boys.
So growing up in middle school and high school, did you guys have, or did you personally have like interest in like creating music or art? And was that something like really early on?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I got my first guitar when I was like 7, and Nate got his like pretty shortly after like I got mine's, and he was like 5. And so we like, it was never pushed on us like in that way. It was never like, oh, you guys got to go to band practice. Oh, time to go to guitar lessons or like whatever. Like we didn't get lessons until we were like a lot further on and had been consistent with it for a couple of years. And then we took like 2 years of lessons, and then we stopped. And it never was like a big educational process for it. It was just kind of like as we did it. But when we got to school, that was crazy because that was like music was where we learned like everything. And like we spent so much time through school, we missed so much school. Like we didn't care. Like we both, like Nate dropped out sophomore year. I graduated like by convincing my guidance counselor that I wasn't going to go to a university, and she was like, okay. And so she just let me go. And like, it was like, we learned so much in that time about music instead of like the things that I probably should have learned how to like do math at some point, but I didn't. I was just like, I would rather play music. And so we hit like, it was my sophomore year. I got my driver's license, and Nate and I just started playing shows, and then that was it. Like, we just started playing shows from sophomore year up, and like just handing out free tickets to everybody. Like, we like just would invite anybody we could to go, and like no one wanted to go because we sucked, and like it was a whole thing. But that was like kind of our lives, like through school, was like we would go gig on the weekends and then like try and go to school, but like it really didn't matter. Like, we'd gig during the week and stuff like that. It was just all the time. So like that was a very like musical part of my life, where it was like it's like a very weirdly unexpected like musical part of my life. And like I did like drama classes too, because I just loved like being the center of attention. So I was like, let's do drama. I was like, let's go. And so
I can see that.
Yeah, I did that. And then like I was on the improv team in middle school, and like yeah, like, and then I eventually, like in high school, I was in choir. My teacher hated me. Oh my God. Dude.
In choir?
Yes. She hated me so much. It was hilarious.
Did you just like fuck around though?
Yeah. I would just like pull up, cause I took it for the A. And so I just would like, not that I was good at it, but I was like, I could at least get a C in this and be fine. And so like, let's go. And so I just got the class, and I would never show up, and she just didn't like me for some reason. One time, during my senior, it was like our senior recital, right? Okay. This is where I realized she didn't like me. And I was like, oh, okay. And we were at the senior recital, and like everyone's like giving out gifts, you know, for the seniors. And so the seniors take the front of the stage. Everyone's parents are there. My parents are looking up at me. They're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of my son right now. He's done something in school. I can't wait for him to receive this award. And she's going down the line. She got this big basket of stuff, and she's going down the line. She gets all the way down, and my last name is Vanderpool, so I'm at the very end. And she gets to me, and she's like, I forgot yours. And I was like, oh, that's okay. But the way she looked at me when she said it, I was like, you meant it. I know you meant it. And I just looked at my parents, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And everyone was like, ha. And I was like, guys, I don't care. I was like, so
like, see, this is why I don't want to come back to school, Mom.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to come back to school. You see, she bullies me. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm getting bullied by my choir teacher. I can't do this.
Yo, I want to touch on that because it's interesting that Nate dropped out in sophomore year, and you basically just barely graduated just because like you were at the finish line, basically. Like you wouldn't have graduated had you been in like the same age as Nate type deal, and you guys were grinding.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like the people that end up being the greats of the world have those stories where it's just like, it was just something I loved to do from the beginning. I never saw it as work. I always put the time in, like Kobe, Jordan, all these elite athletes that you hear, even like Devin Booker, you know, he just like known for putting that time in when other people were out having like school lives and like living the life of like a regular middle schooler and a regular high schooler. They were out training to be in the NBA already, and that's why they ended up becoming who they were. So I feel like that was really foundational to you guys having that hustle mentality. Also, it doesn't hurt that like your dad was almost like a inspirational figure, I'm sure, when it comes to starting a band, because like he started a band with his brother.
Yeah.
We should start a band.
Yeah.
Like, was that something early on that you like consciously did because it was just like, well, if they did it, why can't we? We both play music.
It was definitely a factor for sure. Yeah. Like we because I remember we had we knew about it a little bit before, because he would show us stuff and like some old recordings like in the old basement and stuff like that, like, you know, whatever. And it was like a lot of it was covers and stuff. And so yeah, like when Nate and I started our first band, we were like, oh, this is kind of like we had our take on it was like, this is kind of like round two, or like the Vanderpool band brother thing. Like let's see if it like doesn't have to take round three, you know. Just like, I really hope this is the ticket, you know, like if the first guys couldn't do it, I hope we can manage. Like that was kind of the like thought, I guess, like with them in mind and stuff. But like a lot of it was just Nate and I thinking we had something to say, and just being like, let's just go be rock and roll, you know. And you're so right about the like the fundamentals being laid, because like that really was like the perspective was just like my life starts when I like get conscious, and like whatever I want to do is like out there, and I can't waste my time, you know, like just like I have to be ready for that. And like I don't even know what that means. And like that's not something you're actively thinking while you're doing it, but it is true because it's kind of like you're in like survival. Like once you understand that you want to do something like that, like, you know, like you doing a podcast or like anybody doing something like in any creative like way, you're like, I have to get going like now because like this, like no one's going to wait around for me to do this. Like it's either I do it or no one does it. And so like, I think having that like kick in the ass in a way of like just starting young and especially when Nate dropped out, it was like the gauntlet had been thrown down. It was like, now it's got to work and we'll figure it out, you know? So that was, yeah, like that's a really interesting thing you said about that. Like just how that works. Cause you're so right. It does. It totally is like that.
And it's interesting that like you felt a little bit of like a pressure when Nate dropped out to be like, well, now my baby brother isn't even in school because he believes in this so much.
Yeah.
So like now I have to double down on what I'm doing and our efforts have to be like conjoined and let's just do the damn thing.
Yep.
Exactly. So did you guys name yourself like something corny?
Oh, dude, we had some bad names. Like
so you had a couple?
The first one, okay. So the first one was the Suits. That was the first one, and that one never made it. It never even made it to a show. Like it was the concept. It was the proof of concept for us being degenerates for the next like 15 years. And like we had a Facebook page and I made it and it was like, I went on Google and then just like got a picture of a suit and made it the profile picture. I was like, check that shit out. I was like showing everybody and I was like, yeah, we're pretty much gonna be famous next year. So see you around, asshole. I'm like, whatever. And like, so we did the Suits. We did Jack and the Rippers.
Jack and the Rippers.
Jack and the Rippers.
That's
I might bring that one back. I'm thinking about that one. I'm like, I just started the solo thing. I might name the band, you know, Jackson Lee and the Rippers.
Dude,
you know,
hold on.
I might do it.
When you do your live shows, that would be sick. Even if your artist name is just Jackson Lee, but then it's just like the Rippers are your band.
Yeah, I definitely want to name that. Like, I don't just want to be like Jackson Lee and then everyone's like I think like that's just not my vibe.
Yeah, it's like Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals.
Yes, exactly.
Just like that.
Like it makes it so much cooler. Like they have their own identity in it. Like I have mine. It's like it's cool in that way. But Jack and the Rippers.
Jack and the Rippers. And then what was after that?
That was RJ and the Groove because so here we go. There's backstory on this one. So I won't say any names, but we met these guys and they were like, hey, we're doing this show. It was our first show. And they were like, we would like love you guys to play on it. And we were like, yeah, for sure. Like we would love that. It was at like coffee house. And so we get to practicing. They're like, yeah, let's just all practice like at the same place at the same time. And we were like, okay, sure. And we had like a 3-piece band at the time and they had like 2 guys and it was like, it was a duo thing. And so we all get together and practice and then we all start playing songs and we all start realizing like we're playing the same songs. And we're like, how many John Mayer covers are you doing? And they're like, we're doing like 4. And we were like, oh, we're doing like 6. And they're like, let's just make one big band. And so we did.
Whoa.
And it was called RJ and the Groove because it was me and the other guy that were the front men. Okay. And then the Groove was the rest of the band. Nice. And we played like 3 shows before it all exploded. It just ended. It did not work. It wasn't a good idea. Like, we were young, we were dumb, and it was that. But like, it was just like, let's try it out. And to be honest with you, it was a wonderful experience because had I not been a part of that, I think I would have played my cards differently going forward, and I may have messed something up in the timeline. I don't think I would have hit certain canon events had I not done that. Yeah. But it was infuriating.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like having like was he like an older gentleman? Like
no.
Oh, he was young?
We were all like the same age.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I was picturing like an older dad band.
See, that's kind of the band it was. To be honest with you, it was like totally daddy.
Yo, like, hey, but I feel like having that's like when you guys were just getting started, having someone coming to you and be like, hey, you guys are dope. Like, let's play music together. Yeah. That's like, even though they sucked, looking back, that was a confidence boost for you guys, I'm sure, to show like, these guys want to be in a band with us. Like, we're like doing something out here.
That definitely was like cool as hell. Like just having that. And that was, absolutely a factor. Like we were just like, well, we didn't think we were anything. And then like these guys, and they had like played a show before. So we were like, we had never done that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
These guys
played a show and they know who we are and they want to be in a band with us. And we're like, oh my God, this
band
is going to be it. Yeah. We're like, okay guys, band meeting. Like Nate and I thought we ran it and we didn't. And it was, yeah. But yeah.
So how many other interpretations of a band did you guys have before it was Sunday at Noon?
So after that, actually, I'm pretty sure after that it was right into Sunday at Noon.
Okay.
So after that, we did one more show as Jack and the Rippers. We came back. We played a Halloween show. There was nobody there. It was awesome. I was dressed like Peter Pan. I'm pretty sure there's a picture of it somewhere.
We'll have to get it for post.
We'll have to get it. Yeah, I'll find it. But yeah, right after that, we were, okay, let's just make our own band. Like, whatever. And so it was like Nate and I, and then our buddy Steven, and then our buddy Brent was like the first, like, Brent was insanely good. Like, he was a very good musician. Shout out Brent. Yeah, like we had this band, and then we booked a show, and we were like, wait, like, we don't want to call it that. Let's like make a new name. Like, let's make a legacy for this project, you know? And we couldn't think of anything. And then Steven, his friend, was like, oh, you should call the band like Sunday at Noon, because she had seen it on like a barista like marquee thing where it was like the specials, and then like it was like Sunday at Noon specials. Yeah. Whatever. And she's like, you should call it Sunday at Noon. And I was like, that is literally the best idea we have. And so we went with it, and it was like a terrible decision on the name front, because it did kind of hinder us from doing a lot of things. Because like, if you have like a whole event flyer and then there's just like Sunday at Noon, everyone's like, wait, when is it? Like, it was a legitimate thing. Like, people would not like God. It was. That's why like when people would make, because I remember like on tour, like we make the joke like it was like Sunday at Noon or like whatever, but like that was real.
That was like an actual hindrance to like booking.
Actually, yeah,
that makes so much sense now crazy? Looking back on it, because in the notes I actually was going to talk about like when you switched over to Viper Club. We'll get there. Yeah. But like that makes so much sense.
Right.
Like oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's so funny, because I was like, oh, these guys ripped, and like I thought it was a cool name, but yeah, it's just like there's got to be a like certain functionality to it that like can't be a negative. Yeah, especially in this business. That's funny, dude.
Yeah, we effed up on that one big time.
So early on, I know you said Nate had a guitar early, but when did he start playing drums? I mean, Nate
started playing when he was, I believe he was like 7 or 8. He started playing drums.
Oh wow. Okay.
And like, dude, from the get-go, like he just, I mean, like you've seen him play, like you know, like he's like crazy, and like
he's the Muppet.
He is the Muppet. He's
like
Animal.
The drummer. He's Animal from the Muppet.
Totally,
like, actually.
And he's like, but from 8, he was like that. He was like crazy on it, and like he had timing, and like he just had like feel before he even knew like how to construct a beat. Like he just knew, like you could just watch. It was, you know, like a body language thing. Like you could just watch him play, and it was like just smooth. And then he was like 13, and he was like playing with like Steve Gadd's son and like all this stuff. Like he was just like good from the get-go. Like Nate to me is like a phenom, because I'm just like we've been playing music almost exactly the same length of time, and he's just like got so much like feel to him. It's like crazy. But yeah, he was like 8 when he started, and then just never put it down.
Dang. So then by the time you guys were doing shows, he had already had like 5, 6 years in the game, because you were 16, so he must have been like 13, 14 years old.
13 or 14, yeah.
Wow. So man, that's crazy to think. So it's like when you guys started, like you guys were already talented because you had years in the game. Well, I guess to like compared to other kids that were your age.
Yeah, that's true. Like we definitely, we had like a lot of steam going in.
Yeah,
for sure. Because like even before that, like we played at church all the time. Oh, like that was like the place we could play like every weekend. And so, and like we have a term for it now, where like if we meet someone and we can just, because there's a vibe, like someone's been playing or whatever, and we call it gospel chops, or like gops for short. But like that's like our thing. And like, it's so real because you go every weekend and you like play in front of a bunch of people and it doesn't phase you like in that way, because it's like an establishment, you know, and like there's people supposed to be there, you know? And so you're like, oh, whatever. Cause like, that's the whole point. Like you think of church, you think of like a bunch of people sitting there, and like, that's like, it's built into your brain, I guess. And so like, whenever it went to like playing our own music in front of random people, it was like kind of the same deal. Cause it was like, oh, well, like not that we expected an audience, but we definitely didn't think about it as much. And I feel like that helped us not get like so stage fright and not be afraid of opportunity later on, because we just knew that wasn't going to bother us, you know?
Yeah. From a young age too, I feel like that's very foundational to performing live, is that church. Jesus Christ. Gosh,
crazy.
Yeah,
You want to cut?
well, I'm not gonna cut the camera, but I'm gonna,
definitely.
I'm gonna walk away real quick.
Yeah. You good. You do it. Do what you gotta do.
Put him in the kennel, and then put the comforter over the kennel, and then I put a weighted blanket over the comforter. So it's just like creating a little
gas. Great idea.
Noise gate.
I would have done the same shit. I would have done the same shit, bro.
It's like, bro, you are not fucking this one up too, brother.
No, you're not.
Jesus. It's just like,
I'll go talk to him. I'll be like, hey guys, chill out.
Hey guys, you're really fucking up the flow.
Hey, you better not be fucking lying to me when you say that you're gonna be quiet, all right? And my boys will show up to your house.
Bro.
1 a.m. with a baseball bat.
Dude.
Tim and I were talking about that shit the other day.
Yo, so Formidable Alliance Tour 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Teammate Marcus / Sunday at Noon.
Those were the days, bro.
Some of the best times of my life. We went on tour, and oh my gosh. So that guy, real quick, I do want to go back to what we were saying, but the guy that you were talking about.
Yes, let's talk about that guy.
I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, dude, I need to bring this up, but like, in my head, I remember consciously trying to just like not
engage.
fuck with this guy. So like, I don't even remember his name,
dude,
but like
he
was so like, his energy
like
was
there.
Just, crazy, dude.
Remember when he was like, let me call Netflix.
Dude, yeah.
There's like 10 of us standing around this guy, and this guy thought he was trying to talk like big to us, you know, and like he was like, I'm gonna call Netflix. I'm gonna get him on the phone right now. And so he pulls out his phone. He's got it in front of everybody, and I'm not kidding. Like, there was 11 of us on the tour, and all 11 of us are standing in front of this guy in like a half circle. It looks like
that right out front of the tour bus.
Yeah, yep. It looks like this guy's preaching. And he's like, all right, here we go. And like finds a random guy, hits the FaceTime button. And like, I'm standing like in a way to where I can see his contacts, and none of them say Netflix. Like none of, and not that you would just have like Netflix in your phone, but you'd have like some indicator in case you were like drunk one night. You didn't want to like text the guy from Netflix.
Yeah. It's like, Brian, Netflix.
Yeah. Like, hey, Brian, you ever seen Queen's Gambit? Like, you're never going to do that, you know? And so he got his phone out. He's like, check this out. And like scrolls down, hits it. The guy does not pick up in front of all of us. And we're like, it's okay. And then it turned into like, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I like consoling him for like fucking up. And then he started talking about like, he was going to go fly to New York to hang out with Curtis Jackson. And then he's like, you might know him as 50 Cent, but I just call him Curtis. It's like, what?
I forgot about that one. Like, you might know him as 50 Cent. I know him as Curtis.
Dude, that's when I was just like, whoo, peace, dude. And then he tried to he was really like talking to me, dude.
Yeah,
and then he was like asking me questions and stuff. And that's where that came like, don't you fucking lie to me, Harry.
Don't you fucking lie to me, Harry.
He's like, and this dude was just like, and I don't even remember what he was asking me. I just remember like consciously being like, get me the fuck away from this guy. And I was like trying to be nice, but it's just like, dude, this guy's
I remember him saying it to you too. Like when we were walking away from like, well, there was like that VIP party that night. And he was like, hey, he's like, Harry, you better be going to that VIP party. He's like, I'll be there. And like the plan was to go. And so like, it wasn't like you were capping on him or anything. And then he was like, Harry, you better go to that party. You better go. And you're like walking away from him, like towards the bus. And I think there's like, Ricky and like Marcus were with you, and they're like walking away. And he's like, Harry, you better not fucking lie to me. Like, he's like points at you, and you're like, okay. And you're like looking at us like, this guy's fucking crazy. And we're like, he's not lying to you. Dude. He's not lying. He's fine.
Dude, that
was the most iconic thing I've ever seen in my life. That guy was just on one.
That became like the running joke for the rest of the tour. Was just like, don't you fucking lie to me.
Lie to me. And then, dude, so I have another story about that guy. And so Nate and Carl were out. I think they were on the top of the RV while that VIP party was happening. Or one of the VIP parties was happening, because they were like, I think they were like
just too young to
get in.
Yeah.
And so they were sitting on the top of the tour bus, like drinking Bud Light, like just hidden.
Love it.
Like hidden from the people. Like, oh, they'll never catch us. And then this guy is monitoring the parking lot. And so he comes over, and they're like, oh shit. And like, we hadn't talked to this guy yet.
Yeah.
And so he comes over, and Nate's like, and so Nate like hands Carl the beer, and Nate's like, he comes over, he's like, you guys drinking Bud Light? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, you got one more of them? Go inside and get it. And it comes out, and he crushes the beer. He's like, that's good. He's like, you guys got another one?
No way.
He just started slamming them back with him. I was inside upside down, like my buddy was there, remember, from North Carolina.
Yep.
And he was shit can, and so I was like trying to take care of him, and I was like, bro, don't throw up in the sink, don't throw up, it's the only rule, don't throw up in the sink. He's like, I'm not gonna throw up in the sink. And then he throws up in the sink, and I was like, dude, come on. And then like I was a mess that night, so I had no idea what was going on outside. And like, that was like
that was second night at Jersey,
I think so. Yeah,
because that was like after we had like time, we're just like, hey, we're like vacation night, it's like
we're like, let's go.
Yeah.
I love those nights.
Dude, that was such a fun time.
The booze, so many good memories on that tour, dude.
Yeah.
The Philly cheesesteaks, remember that?
Yes, of course.
Only one
the first time I ever had a Philly cheesesteak was in Philly.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. That is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that changed everything, because then every other cheesesteak was inferior.
You're so right.
You're
so right. Every one I've had, I'm like, it's not Philly though. I'm like, it's not been Peter's or whatever we went. Like, it was like, remember the bartender's like, I know a place. He took us to a place, and he knew a place.
Yeah, dude, he wasn't lying. But
he was.
Hey, it's like the local spots. That's always the ones that hit the best. So
that's true.
It's so like true, that's not a chain. Like, this is, you get this in one place and one place only.
Yeah, this ain't Brooklyn boys. All right, this ain't no Papa John's. Okay, this ain't no Pizza Hut.
Man, so yes, Formidable Alliance Tour 2018, such a fun time, man. I'll have to put up some pictures or something from the boys.
My hair, dude, so long and dark, and I didn't even know who I was at the time. I was still trying to figure it out.
Hey, man, you're still Sunday at noon, bro.
I'm still Sunday at noon, dude.
It was early on.
I'm still Daddy Sunday. You know, don't you get it twisted. It's still Daddy Sunday.
So we were talking about having gospel chops and being a church boy in that sense of like musical. And I think that's because I grew up in the church as well, and my uncle was actually the sound guy for our church. We would show up early, and like they would do rehearsals and all that stuff, and I would always roll with them. But so it was always a big part of my life too. So I feel like, and that was like the first time I ever played in a ensemble outside of school, because I was in band and shit. I played my shitty guitar for the church band for like 2 songs ever, because I was just like, I was never fully committed, because they had the gops, they had the gospel chops guy. And I was like, I was not there yet. So I felt like so intimidated, dude, where I was just like, I don't belong here. Like, I got to do my own practicing. And then that's when I started really deep diving on my own, where I was like, I started learning acoustic, and I started learning music and playing music, and then ended up writing music. But it's just like, I remember that was like so foundational for me, where they believed in me just because I like knew how to play Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
That they're like, get up on stage,
like, come
buddy.
on, brother. Like, yeah, they just get up. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, we're playing an E, go to a D and then an A minor. And it's
you're
like
I know all those letters, buddy. You're like, you're not gonna fool me.
It's like I'm in fucking 8th grade.
What comes the A?
Yeah, dude.
None of these dots look like an A.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like not even like, so and like so I remember that being so foundational though, where it was just like that's where I first saw like real musicians outside of school, where it was just like, whoa, like that's how you play music. And I was always so inspired by the keyboard player. I feel like gospel keyboard players are always so like
disgusting,
nasty. Where they just have like the chords that they play are just like, how did you even piece that together? And they're always the ones that are like, the notes don't matter, there's no wrong notes. It's like, bro, there's fucking wrong notes, all right?
I sound like shit right now.
You just know how to play all the right ones.
Don't tell me there's no wrong notes.
You just fucking played all the right ones.
You asshole. Dude, there was this guy, I totally level with you on that, because there was this guy at like one of the first churches that my dad ever worked at, and he shredded so hard, and I was like, damn, like that guy's allowed to play in church. I was like, whoa. And then like I remember like asking like, oh, can I play? And it was always like, eventually. It was the same vibe. It was just like, yeah, well, like when you get there.
They saw it too. They're like, settle down.
Like, buddy, we're in E minor. Okay, now go to an A. I'm like, where am I?
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, that was I feel you on that.
But would you say that that's like that was super foundational to you guys? Being in that church vibe, and
definitely.
So now moving past, you guys are in bands. You started Sunday at Noon. And we're getting into the late 2010s. So like 2017,
2018.
Well, did you start Sunday at Noon in 2018?
Oh, Sunday at Noon started in like 2015.
Oh, 2015.
Yeah, right.
But then 2018 is when we went on tour, and that was kind of like the end of Sunday at Noon, like towards the end.
The nail in the coffin.
Yeah, which is funny because that was the nail in the coffin for teammate Marcus too. The Formidable Alliance tour ended some careers.
Killed us both.
Nah,
I don't know what we were fighting, but it murdered both bands.
But no, then you guys both ended up becoming successful different bands, and it's just like we branched off and did different things. But so Sunday at Noon transitioning into Viper Club. Now we can kind of talk about that. Like the reasoning, one of the reasons why you changed was because of the name.
Yes.
Functionality reasons. And Viper Club is just a cool ass name.
It was.
Hell yeah. Was that all Nate's? Because he did all the branding and stuff.
Yeah, he did.
But was the name Nate as well?
So I actually have a story about this. And there was a moment when Sunday at Noon ended. Like, and it was specific. Okay. There was a moment, and it was me. So I was at a wedding in Yakima, and I know I was at a wedding in Yakima, and I'm at this wedding, and I had like I was taking advantage of the free bar. So it was, it was daytime. It was fun. It was a beautiful wedding, like beautiful, and like I had 6 Bloody Marys, and I was like just kind of like standing around, and I remember like I think it was the bride's like dad or like someone like that came up and just started talking to me, and he's like, hey, what do you do, and blah blah, and I was like, oh, I'm like in a band, and he's like, oh, what's the band called? And I said Sunday at Noon, and I cringed when I said it. Like I cringed when I told him my band name, and it was like it just came out, and I was like, ooh, and I was like, oh, and then I called Amy, and I was like, hey, I was like, how bad of an idea would it be if we just like destroyed 4 years of tour experience and just started something new? And she's like, well, it's not like, it's not the most, like go-getter idea, she's like, but if you want to do it, like, let's do it. And it was just kind of like from there, like Sunday at Noon, like folded. And it was like the best thing that ever happened to us, because we ended up, before we decided that Sunday at Noon would be dead, we had sent out a demo to a couple of guys in LA, and we were like, okay, because we just wanted to work with someone who like knew things, and we were like, well, like let's just go there, and just see what happens, And so we sent an email to one studio who I don't know if I could say the name of it, but it was a studio that like a bunch of records that we had loved had been made there. And we were like, well, let's see like if we can find someone to work with us there, blah, blah, blah. We sent one to this guy named Jim Roach. And we sent to Jim Roach. And the email he sent us back, because we got replies from the other studio, and it was very, it was very transactional. It was very like, this is what we do, blah, 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 this is the price, blah, blah. And the email we got back from Jim was like, he's just raving about this demo we sent him. And the demo was ass. Like, it was like I go back and listen to it now, and I'm like, how did this ever happen? Because like, this is like the worst demo I've ever, but he like saw something in it, and he made it very clear in the email that he did. And he was like stoked about it. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a good sign. Like, that's what I want to do. And so we went and worked with him, and it was just like, it started this beautiful like friendship. And then after we had got the song back, we were like, do we want to put this out under Sunday at Noon if we don't like Sunday at Noon? Or do we want to just like start over, keep writing songs, and start planning what we're going to do next? And then that's basically what happened. And the Viper Club name came from the first song, which was Beatrix. And that name came from the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad from Kill Bill. And then we just put club on the end of it. So it was just, I think at first, like, it was like the Viper Club, and then we were just like, it's Viper Club. Like, and then we just fell in love with it. We knew like immediately it was it. And we were like, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, and everything about the marketing too, it all feels like that's like, I feel like your music sounds like Viper Club more so than it sounds like Sunday at Noon. In a weird way.
No,
Like,
I get what you mean.
I think Viper Club, in the way that you guys say, like, join the club, and like the branding, the designs, all of that, like it's kind of like edgy pop art style, color stuff that Nate does. And it's all like plays into that style of music, that the same way that there's like metal bands that use the metal fonts. Same thing.
And it's still kind of cool because you're like,
it makes sense. And it's just like, it would feel like almost like weird if it was like a Colby Callier font and it's like death metal,
it'd be weird.
So it's like, I think that move to being Viper Club, I think obviously you say that it was the best move for you guys, but I think just even from a listener standpoint and like a fan's standpoint, it's like, I'm glad to see you guys make that transition to something that can be like long term. And I feel like that one is like, that's it. Like this is the one that's gonna be like, you guys don't need to change again. The only thing that can happen now is you guys break up, which I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
I mean, as long as Nate and I are in it, can't really.
You guys are brothers.
And we're just like, all right, well, we're kind of married to it.
Dude.
No, you're absolutely right. And then Nate came up with all the art stuff, like the pop art, like you're saying, like from Andy Warhol.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Because he was super in the Andy Warhol vibe when he started, and that's like, it's very primary and whatever. And he was just like, let's just use primary colors. And then we started doing it, and then other people started doing it, and we were like, oh, okay, this is cool. And like, it was just, Nate just had it in his head.
Oh, wow. Like, so you saw people like copying the swag a little bit, and that's when you were like, well, we're onto something.
We're doing something.
That's when you know. That's when people start copying you, that's when you know.
That is true.
You are onto something.
Don't let it bother you. Let it fuel you. You know what I mean?
That's so true.
Because, at first it was like, what the fuck? And then it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's what we want, right? And like,
exactly. Exactly. And making people talk about it. And you talk about Jim Roach and how he was like the first one to like really bring you guys up in the LA scene in that way. And then you guys went on to create another project with him called Shadow Academy.
Yes, we did.
Which is amazing that you guys were given that opportunity.
Yes, it was.
Was that just based off of like, these guys are killers, like we got to start a group with them? That was basically what it was?
So basically what happened, so it was like 2020, it was like August, I think. And, it was pandemic, like no one was doing anything. And so I got this call from Jim, and he was like, I think we were working on Retweet at the time. And so that's what I thought the call was for. So he calls me, and I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, hey, like, Dan and I are like thinking about this project, like blah, blah, blah. He's like, if you guys like want to write something for if you guys have any ideas, like we'd love to hear them and like see what, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, like, yeah, well, like, and it was the first time we'd ever been asked to do anything like that. And so Nate and I, the next day, like go in the studio and we write this instrumental, and we wrote it in like 30 minutes because we were just like, oh, maybe they just need like something to start with or like whatever. And like we just did it, and then we sent it, and he was like, you guys want to write more? And we were like, yeah. And then it just became like this awesome like working relationship with like us and Jim, like working on instrumentals, and then like Dan will come in and do the vocal, and it's the coolest thing ever. But it was so out of nowhere, like. And then whenever it started happening and we started like we went to studio in like Texas and recorded it and like all this stuff, like then it started being real. And then when it came out, it was like the most it still is like the most liberating project for me personally, because like I just get to show up and have fun and go home, and that's it. And like that's like a beautiful thing to me. And so I love that project for that, because it's very collaborative. It's like, it's not like super exclusive either. So it's not like we're just working on it all the time. It's just like, you guys feel like it? Cool, let's go. And like, that's the whole vibe of the project. And it's like, that was like some of my proudest like studio works as like a musician. And it was very validating in that light too. Because before that, like, it was just like, I sang in a band, I played guitar in a band, and like that's what I did in the band. So it didn't feel like important in that way. It just felt like I was filling a role. And then like when I got asked to do something like as a guitar player, like I felt like really validated as a guitar player, because like that's what I am, And so I was like, oh, like I still got that. It was like a nice reminder in like my early 20s of like, hey man, like keep going, like it was cool.
Yeah, especially from someone of that caliber. Jim Roach has had his hands in a lot of different things. So I'm sure that was a big confidence boost. And also, it's just like, it's interesting that you say like it was in a way almost like a breath of fresh air to work on that project, because you could just go in there, do what you loved, and then just like, that's it. And it's funny because like all you've known is being the front man of bands. So it's just like, I'm sure that type of project where you just kind of go in and you just take the songwriter's seat versus like the artist seat. I think that's a huge thing. Like that's like the love of the art comes back.
It does. Oh my God. That's the best way to say it. Yeah. The art, the love. Yes. The love of the art comes back. And it was just like, and that happened to me in Japan too, weirdly enough. Like the art.
Oh, when you were playing with that other, was it Popsicle Stick?
Popsicle Stick Airport. Yeah. I played bass for them over in Japan, and it was the same deal, because I could show up, play my shit, I'm done, like cool. And I saw all these artists like and this was like music, the love of music coming back to me in like a live capacity, because for so long, like you go play shows, you listen to all these bands, and like after a while you start getting jaded about it, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go do this, and like you're just kind of waiting, like the point of it all kind of like runs dry. Like, at least for me, like at the time, it was just gone. At that point, like I was showing up to play shows and I was just doing it. Then I went over there and I watched people just play because they loved it. And like, that's what brought it back. I was like, you guys don't care if I'm paying attention at all. Like, you're just doing it because you love it. Like, that's what it's about. Like, that's like what I needed to see. Like, it was just the most beautiful like thing to this day, like of just bringing that like love of music back to me, where I was like, wow.
That's interesting that you say that, because that's like in Japan too, because in America, I feel like that's such a relatable thing when it comes to creatives, because you do kind of get to a certain, especially in music, where it's just like, you almost feel like if you do a show for 5 people and then you do a show for like 2 people the next show, then you feel like you're a failure and you get like demotivated, where it's almost like you expect every time you do it to get better and better and be bigger shows. And you almost start to build up this like inflated confidence, where it's just like, if you don't get the, 1,000 cap room opportunity, then you're not even going to do the show type deal. Whereas just like people in Japan, they just play just because they can play, and they have the ability to play for anybody or any countries. And I think that's something that is probably very prominent in a bunch of different countries
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's not like the big inflated music industry and media and entertainment that it is in America.
Right.
Whereas like the love of the art is still like the most important thing
Yeah.
versus like the reactions or the type of validations that you get from others. Whereas I feel like Americans in the entertainment industry are more addicted to that sometimes
Yeah.
than the actual love of the art.
Totally. And I recently, weirdly enough, when I was in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, or I guess a month ago now, a couple months ago now, that was the vibe I got from their scene.
Oh.
And it was like, you know, we played this like little like coffee shop bar and like just people like because they just love like their friends were playing and it was like someone's birthday happened. It was like oh, my friend's playing. And like, you know how it is, like if you're out here and you're playing a show and it's like a Tuesday night, everyone's like, I'm going to bed. Like, I don't care.
I gotta work.
Yeah, I gotta work in the morning, bro. People there were like, oh yeah, I gotta work tomorrow. But, you know, my homie's playing. I was like, that's so cool. Yeah. Like y'all, it was like a nice like reminder, like, oh, maybe there's a chance. Like
for sure. Those are the types of inspiring moments though, as a musician, where it's just like it brings you back to that like the pre-exposure to like those types of metrics, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Whereas you're like measuring your success based off of XYZ.
Yeah.
Versus like you're measuring your success based off of like how much better you are than you were last year type deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's something, especially with creatives, we have to remind ourselves to like just compare ourselves to ourselves versus comparing ourselves to others.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough pill to swallow, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it makes all the difference because it takes everything. You know, like you dropping a song at the same weekend that like another artist drops a song, like a big artist, like, and you're like this small guy and you're like, do I want to drop it then?
It's weird. But
like, does it matter? Like,
right.
There's more time in a day to listen to more than one song. Like, what are you pressed about? You know, I was like,
so funny.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, we totally can do that. Like, you know, it's like, yeah, that's a tough bill, man.
And even as like an independent artist, you still have that feeling whereas just like, dude, no one's gonna listen to your song anyways.
Yeah.
Just like, well, like that's kind of like in the grand scheme of things compared to like the major artist that's gonna drop, they can release dog shit on any day and people are gonna play it. But it's just like, you're just releasing your music because you love to do it. Just put it out.
Yeah.
Just put it out. Cause like if you go into it thinking like no one's gonna listen to this and someone listens to it, then it's just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
If you go into it thinking you're going to get 1 million listeners and then you get 2, then it's just like, I suck.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like setting the bar low and
like
you get, your expectations, you know, you don't get disappointed as easy. I feel like.
So true.
Man.
Yeah. No, I totally feel that. Yeah. That's like with the acoustic record too. Like that was the vibe too, because I was like, I made that stuff and then like I never thought anyone would hear it, and then enough friends were just like, put it out, because like the idea is someone's gonna hear it.
Exactly.
Like at one person, like whether it's my mom, someone's gonna hear it. And like I feel like the thing about bigger artists like dropping like dog shit on like a Tuesday, like the only reason people listen is because it's there. They open the app and like they get a notification for it and boom, okay, I'll listen to it. Like I kind of know this guy or whatever. And it's like that can work for you too. You know, like that can be you. That's like it's just there. Like, okay, I listen to it. Like I could drop dog shit on a Tuesday and like people might listen to it, you know? But it's like it's crazy because I feel like you lose like how much you think you're like, you lose the sense in which you think, let me back up. You lose, I guess, the ear to the ground that you have in knowing how people perceive your art. And like when you put something out that's yours, that's when you start learning, you know, and that's like a terrifying thing, you know, because like a band, like do Viper Club and it's like put out a song and it's not really on one person. Like Nate and I do write everything, but it's like, it doesn't feel like a flop for like just one guy, you know? You put it out yourself and like people comment on it like, they'll like text you or whatever. Like, I feel like that's when you start like learning about like who you are as an artist, you know, and like that's tough when it's just you because you got no sounding board, you know.
For sure. And this is the first time that you're diving into a solo project.
Yeah.
So this is something that I do want to talk about. So when you were in your other bands and you've been in bands for so long now, I'm sure you've thought about making solo music in the past. Has there ever been pressure from your bandmates or other people around you that has deterred you from doing that?
Ooh. Honestly, it was the band, like just the entity in itself, like because like that was, I mean, for a time, like before like everything else happened, like that was all I did. And so to me, like I thought in a way that that was just the project, like that I had to have, like that was just like boom, that's it. Like you can't have your solo project because you're all the singer of this band, you know. And that's like a super egomaniac thing to think because like there's other people playing ball, and so like it can't just be my project. And I feel like whenever I finally had that like that ego death per se on that topic, like that's when I like allowed myself to just like, no, I can do this. And like at the time, like you know, I was just writing songs and stuff and never thought everyone would hear them because again, like that band was deterring me from it. But yeah, the band was like a total like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Because every time I want to do it, like something would happen, or like, then I just kind of gave up and I was like, it'll never happen.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily like the band in the sense where like the bandmates were like, "No, Jack, you're not gonna Timberlake us."
Not gonna Timberlake us. Yeah,
but no, it's just like the band, just your responsibility of the band.
Right.
You felt like you can't juggle both of them because you need to put your energy into one,
right,
or the other.
Yeah.
Which obviously is not the case because it can be done. And I mean, I think that's something that the engine of Viper Club is so strong now that I don't think you doing your solo music would hurt it. If anything, it would help it.
Yeah.
It will be like, oh, they make that type of music too, because your acoustic stuff is like different from your Viper Club.
Yeah.
So to be able to hear both sides of you just shows your versatility as an artist as well.
Thank you.
Of course, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Like, no, I'm glad to see it coming out, man.
Thanks, man. It's driving me nuts right now. Cause like, again, it's terrifying. Like, cause it's just me. I've never had like this, like, cause it's the first time I've ever like written music about things that I've actually like that were going on. Like for the past like couple of years, like I had just been writing songs in my bedroom, you know, and like something would happen, like someone hurt my feelings, or like, you know, I was just sad for no reason, or like whatever. It's like song, you know, like, or whatever. And it was never for Viper Club, and it was never for this other like Shadow Academy or anything like that. It just kind of lived on my computer. And then one day I was just like, I'm just gonna start like sending them off like to my friends, like when I finish them, and just be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or like if I'm like hanging out, like I'll just be like everyone's like sharing music and stuff, I'll like toss it in the hat and be like, see what everyone thinks. And that was, I had just gotten enough encouragement through that where I was like, I think I want to put this out, because like it was a different response than I had gotten from Viper Club, because like Viper Club is like very you know, it's hammy, it's like rock and roll, it's like very fun, and like it doesn't get too depressing. But this record gets very depressing, and it's like the response I was getting from people was so real. They were like, hey, this song is exactly how I'm feeling right now, or like, can you send me that song again? Can you send me the lyrics? Because like this one part, like I really feel like, or whatever. And at that point I was like, I feel like I might be like, I could help somebody if I just put this out. If it reaches somebody, like, cause you know how that is. Like you hear a record and it like changes your life. Sometimes it even saves it. And like, if that was my record, like that'd be cool, you know, even if it was like 10 people. Cause like at this point, like the only skin in the game I have is my own pride. And like anymore, after being in bands for 10 years, it's like, well, I've flopped before, I can do it again. So it's like, okay. And like, now I'm like I started being terrified because I was like, this is like all my personal shit, like going out, like this, everyone's like I'm now an open book. My art is like first it was like this, and now it's like this. And then I remember like when we submitted the record, like we got everything done and sent it to Amy, and like I literally made it in GarageBand. Like the whole thing is, and I made it all in GarageBand, and then just had Tim master it, and that was it. And like mixed it the best I could, but I was like, here we go. And so like at first it was nerve-wracking on that front because it was the professionalism in me, like my peers, like people who actually do audio, you know, like, and they're like, what'd you make it on? Or like, you know, just hearing the mix or like whatever, like they'll, you know, and that's always like nerves, you know, like, and then also just, you know, putting it out there and it's so personal, and then having to brand it with myself. And it was like, it was weird doing that because that was, I was so like shy when I started like doing all this brand stuff for it and like taking photos and like whatever. The Viper Club, it never bothered me because it was like 4 of us all like stunting up, you know, like posing up and stuff. But like this was just me in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And like, it's like the point of it is to make me look like an artist. And so I'm like, well, how does that look? You know, I'm like, I don't even know how that, so it's kind of cool. I feel like I'm almost restarting in a way because I'm just like back to square one, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's been a huge like relief for me in that way to just drop the record and just like it be out there. Like whatever people want to think about it, like whatever people get from it, like it's just there, you know, at least I said it. And so that's where I'm at on that.
I'm so glad that you're taking the time to do it because a lot of people get in their head and they don't ever release that music.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're building almost like a separate identity in this game where it's like you're building up a whole new type of fan base in a sense where it's like you might have some crossover just because they're fans of you that they'll listen to your music if they're a Viper Club fan, but you're going to start getting fans that never even heard of Viper Club before. Yeah. Then they're going to hear about Viper Club second because they liked your acoustic stuff first.
Yeah.
And I think that's like kind of going back to like what you were saying, where it's like even one person can hear it. It's like the fact that you're putting it out there, it's giving the opportunity for people to hear it and feel touched and listen to the lyrics and read the lyrics and actually feel something a little bit more versus than them just trying to like turn up at a rock concert.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like the vibe where it's just like, it's energetic. It's like kind of happy, but like I'm sure the lyrics, there's some lyrics that are like not as, you know,
like not as great. Yeah,
but it's like,
totally.
But still like the vibe of Viper Club songs versus the vibe of like your own solo songs. Like I'm so glad that you're taking the time to do that, and even the fact that you did it on GarageBand, that just shows like the surrender to the art, you know, like. Because some people set up barriers for themselves, where it's like, if I don't produce this on Pro Tools, I'm not putting it out. Whereas it's like, if you can make great art on GarageBand, fucking make great art on GarageBand and have Tim master it on Pro Tools, and you got yourself a record.
Yeah.
Steve Lacy produced a J. Cole song on an iPhone GarageBand.
Oh,
so there's a song called Fold and Close. Have you ever heard that song?
No.
So it's a song. I want to fold clothes for you. I want to make you feel good. And it has these classic Steve Lacy tones on it.
Right.
You know, and he recorded the bass, the guitar, and he did the drums all on his phone. And then exported the stems and then ended up like, you know, mixing it on, you know, a different system. But still, it's just
started there.
He wrote the song on his iPhone. It's just like, dude, it's like, I feel like a lot of people still have this like gear focused mindset,
elitism,
where it's just like people that are in the industry. I've heard this so many times, and I know you've heard this. It's not the gear, it's the ear. And it's just like that is like one of the truest statements ever. And it's like the same way, like it's not the medium, it's the painter, you know, where it's just like you can give a professional painter a watercolor brush and they're gonna like make you an art like masterpiece versus like you can give oil pastels to a 5th grader and it's gonna look like shit, you know what I mean? Totally. So it's just like that's like it's what you do with the tools that you have. So I think it's like
it's a good tool.
The fact that like you have the the ability to make a solo record on GarageBand and feel confident enough to drop it and not get in your head about like, I made this on GarageBand, so it's not good enough. That's just like that. I think that's
real.
hard. That's harder than the actual process of writing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like I've made it on Garage. Like you feel like you did something terrible.
And you don't even want to tell anybody. Just, which is so funny that like we're like so conditioned to be like, oh, you made it on GarageBand? Oh, so it's trash?
Yeah.
Just,
dude, we like,
you should like never tell anybody, and then after they compliment it, be like, oh, thanks, I made it on GarageBand. And then they'll be like, oh my God, dude, I take that back, it's trash.
Nate and I are no strangers to shitty DAWs though. Like we dropped a record called Club Mix a while ago, and it was just like we dropped an EP and then we wanted to drop the demos on it.
Okay.
But the thing about the demos, we made them all on Audacity.
Oh, hell yeah.
When like, you can't edit on Audacity. You got one take. And one take is all you got, and like all the way through it. And if you got to go, like you got to pre-cut it, and it's like the most annoying, DAW to work in. And all the demos came out, and like that was part of our like kind of like campaign for the record was like, hey, like we did this on Audacity, which is free. Like you don't have to, like we did, like you can do this basically. And so that's kind of been the vibe. And whenever Viper Club set that vibe, and I'd already just been writing in GarageBand anyway, because I was just like, I like it. It's easy to use, and I can just like fly through and make demos, and it's like cool. And then I got to thinking after we dropped that, and I was like, I could just drop this. I was like, we did it already. No one had a problem with it. I don't know what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm just having a moment. I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And now it's like, it's kind of cool, like in retrospect to think about, because it's like, I hope that someone like hears me say that, and then they hear the record, and then they like the record, and they're like, I could do that.
For sure.
You can. Like, that's like, I'm nothing special. Like, you can do it. Like, it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's such a important thing to take away from that. It's like you can do it too. It's like if you have a story to tell, like you just got to tell it. And it's like I think that's something that, a lot of musicians need to hear a lot of times, where it's like they get in their head and they get they almost feel like because they're not already successful that they can never be successful.
Yeah.
And it's like that's so backwards. It's just if you don't ever take that first leap of faith and believe in yourself and have that confidence, how is anyone else going to have that confidence for you and trust you to be the artist that you want to be, But no, man, I love it, man. Cause I definitely relate on like the pressure of making solo music, because for the longest I was the teammate Marcus producer,
right?
So I almost attached myself to that identity for the longest time. And even though I wanted to write music as a solo artist, I did feel a pressure that I wouldn't be able to do both. And it did sometimes feel like pressure from other people as well,
right?
Which is just like something that it all comes back to how I perceived it. And I can never say that someone else was the reason why I never did anything. But I can say that my own thoughts of how they were telling me these things or expressing their opinions I was taking it as they don't support me. Which was
difficult.
Totally different. And it's just like, I think if I would have gone into it with the sense of like, oh, they just don't see the vision like I see it. That's cool. They're not my audience. Like that's the type of vibe that I feel like you need to go into it with, because even now I feel like I haven't released records in so long, and I still feel pressure like, oh man, I'm like out of the game. Like I gotta release records. But I have like 8 songs that I'm just like been sitting on perfecting and just like waiting for it's like that right time to where I feel like this is like, I feel confident about this. I'm excited about this and that type of stuff. Cause it's like rushing to get it out. Sometimes it's like not the move at the same time. It's just like getting your story out, and like when you're confident about it, put it out, but it's like, don't rush it out necessarily. Right. It's like, cause sometimes it comes out like shit. Like, dude, like if you force a fart, you might shit your pants.
You might shit. You can't, I mean, you can shit and fart, or you can fart and shit.
Clip it.
You only want to do one. The other one is a terrible time at Applebee's. I'll tell you right now. Not that I've ever had that happen to me at Applebee's, but if I did, it would have been a terrible time.
What I'm telling you, it would have been a terrible time.
Am I allowed to vape on this show?
Yeah, bro, go for it.
Cool.
I'm gonna look through my notes here. I'll do a cut while you do that. Man, this is such a good conversation.
Yeah, this is really good. This is literally the best podcast I've ever been on. Like, yeah.
I'm
like,
bro.
Oh my God, I can actually fucking talk.
Yes.
It's like, so what's your favorite color? And I'm like, fucking shut up. I'm like, that's my favorite color. I'm like, fuck you. That's my...
Answer that question is, are you serious?
Dude.
It's another question. It's like, what is this? That's the answer to that question.
There was another podcast that I went on that was just as fun as this one, called Late at Night. And it was with the other guy from Ninja Sex Party. It's his podcast.
Okay.
And Nate and I just told tour stories, but it was remote. So I didn't have like what we're having.
Yeah.
So this one beats it by far because I can actually fucking see you. Like,
yes.
And like talk to you and like use my hands and like all that stuff.
For sure, man.
But that was a good one. I like that.
No, that's awesome, man. I feel like creating that environment to have just like conversation versus like it's like, I don't know, the fact that it's like in the house too, you know, it just feels a little bit more like, it's just more comfortable. It's like, it's easy to just like sit down and chat where I don't feel like sometimes I forget the cameras are even there. Like while we're talking, like I will like look back and like, oh shoot, are we still recording? Like,
hey guys,
are we still good?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think that's what makes the best content where it's just like, it doesn't feel forced and it's genuine. We're having real conversations. We're talking about real things. It's like these things are like people can relate to, people can take inspiration from, or not, and they could just fuck up.
Or not. They'll just be like, that guy looks like a fucking poodle. I'm not watching it. I'm talking about me, by the way. I look like a wet poodle.
We got to talk about your TikTok success.
Oh,
man.
Yes.
So you know, you garnered over
Let's
like
talk about
500 million views,
yeah.
Almost like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Insane. You started a trend. I'll put it up here if people haven't seen it. It's like the cheer.
The cheer. Yeah.
The
two best friends. I've had a couple like weird little trends that have hit for some, but the cheer thing.
That one skyrocketed everything.
I don't know why. Yeah. It blew. It's got like 40 million or something, like pushing 50 now. And it's like the weirdest thing ever.
You see so many people using it too, where it's just like, I remember I sent you a clip of Josh Peck and he was doing it.
That was controversy for a minute. That Josh Peck thing, dude, I got a story about the Josh Peck thing, dude. First of all, no hate on Josh Peck. Second of all, when that all happened, like, so I'm in Japan at the time. And I wake up, there's a time difference. And I wake up and I don't have TikTok notifications on or whatever. And so like if I see notifications, it's literally me going to look at the notifications. And so I check my notifications and my mentions are just like all the way down. And I was
Josh
like,
Peck,
what the hell? And then I saw Josh Peck in the thumbnail and I was like, this has to be like a meme.
Yeah.
Or like something they're just tagging me in. And I opened it and he just like did the thing. And I was like, what? Like, and like I had this moment like Josh Peck saw my video. So I was doing well. And then Josh Peck did my video. Wow, that's
and he
cool.
completely ripped it off.
Completely ripped.
He didn't use your audio.
Yeah, he didn't use my audio.
He did his own audio.
And it wasn't until like people, kind of brought it to his attention that he gave me the credit, and I appreciate him for that. But it was funny because it went to this other TikToker too that also did it after Josh Peck did it, but he did it because Josh Peck did it and had no idea I existed. And so
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. And like immediately he was like, hey, like idea credit, like was super cool. And I'm not super crazy about that stuff on TikTok just because like that's the nature of the thing. It's like if you do something that pops off, expect people to do it. Like, and I've fortunately, and I guess, I say unfortunately, like ironically is like a self-deprecating thing, but I really am fortunate to have it. Like it takes off and then people start doing it and you have no idea how they're perceiving it, like, which is kind of tying back to earlier. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was nuts as hell. I was like, all these people are just rallying for my ass. None of them know me.
So did you ever message with him directly?
No, I never. Oh,
he directly. Okay.
Yeah, he just like mentioned me in the comments, and I was like, we're good. And
hey man, well, shout out Josh Peck. Even though you did steal it at first, you did what was right. You
brought it back to the store and paid with it for your debit card. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh my god,
he was really good, dude. He was really good in Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
yeah, I'll say that
he was in Oppenheimer.
He was the guy that pressed the button.
Oh, bro, I haven't seen it. I actually bought IMAX tickets to it.
Nice, that's a good call.
But because I learned that the IMAX theater that we have in Harkins is one of 30 in the world. Did you know that?
What?
And it's only like one of 17 in the United States.
They're that sparse? I had no idea.
True IMAX like film theaters,
right? Versus
like IMAX digital.
Yeah,
because like the full like 70 millimeter where they have to install it like massive tape. Did you see the video of them installing it in Harkins?
No.
Dude, there's like a video, Harkins posted it, where it's like, because they have people from the studio that come in to every IMAX, they actually have to physically install the film because it's massive. But yeah, so that's why I decided to go see it in IMAX here, because it's just like, dude, this is an opportunity that like once this is out of theaters, like you'll never be able to see it in IMAX 70 millimeter ever again. And this is one of like 17 places in the United States where you can even see it. Like people will fly
crazy
to like locations to see movies there in IMAX 70 millimeter. I'm like, damn, it's like 20 minutes down the road.
I know. You're like, okay, I'm going to get an Uber. Yeah. That's cool. Enjoy your flight, jackass.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a $500 movie ticket, dog. It's like I paid $16 plus an Uber, dog.
You could have got it on Amazon, watched it on the plane ride over, and then watched it in the theater again and compared notes with yourself. Like that's how much money.
Literally. But God damn, what were we even just saying? Oh yeah, so we were talking Josh Peck. We were talking TikTok.
Right.
So I do want to talk about like the beginning of that before it got to that point where did you go into TikTok consciously trying to make viral videos until one hit, or did you just like you just were making
not at all
for fun and then it just like popped off?
Yeah, it was like, so how it all happened, was so we were coming back from a tour, and this was like right when the pandemic was starting. And so TikTok was like kind of known at the time, but it wasn't like super big, and people had started like kind of using it, and like it was kind of gaining some like social traction or like whatever. And we were driving the tour bus back. I was just kind of like co-tour managing, not really, like that's just what I'm calling it because I was hanging out with the guys, you know. But like we were driving back, and Amy, my manager, looked at me and she's like, "Hey, you should do TikTok." And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's not really like my thing. Like, I don't want to like do that and like get like, I don't know if I can do it. And she's like, well, you might find your people there. And that was like all I remembered about it.
Wow.
And then like a couple months went by and I was bored because, you know, you couldn't play music or like do anything. And I was like so tired of playing Super Smash Brothers. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to make a video. I'm just going to see what happens. And I like made this Roses Are Red video. And it was like the dumbest poem ever. And so I made it, and then
I'll put it right here.
Yeah, there it is. And I made it, and I was like, oh, like that actually didn't do too bad. And like before I made like a couple stupid videos and whatever, but like that one, like that did well. I was like, oh my God, like I might be onto something here. And then I just started like making them like for fun, like because I just had nothing to do, and it was like all I did. And so that first account grew to like 136,000, and I was like losing my damn mind because I like, you know, I'd never ever seen a number like that. Even like when I first started, like when I post a video and it got like 500 views, I was like, you what? 500 views? Like I would kill for that on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
because everything at that time was the same.
Yeah.
It was like you got 500 here, and it's like all kind of the same metric besides like Twitter and Instagram differences or whatever. But like, yeah, like that blew my mind the first time I ever got that. And then when that account grew to what it was, I was like, oh my God. And then I got shadow banned, or I thought I got shadow banned. Turns out my content just sucked, but I thought I was shadow banned. And I was, because I didn't know what it
the
meant.
algorithm changed.
Yeah,
and then
just changed.
yeah. So then you
Trend
weren't
was
getting
dead.
the views.
Yeah, Trend was dead, man. I killed it. Like, I not only did I kill it, I grabbed it by the ankle when it was crawling away, pulled it back, and beat the shit out of it again because I just didn't know what else to do. And so at the time, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start another account. Like, the worst thing that happens, and the idea for starting the second account in the beginning was, I'll start a second account just so I can keep making videos and see progress. And this, like, I'll come back to this account. Like, whenever this whole thing is, like, the dust is cleared from being shadow banned, I'll come back. I never went back because when I started the new account, I was like, maybe instead of like doing this, I want to like try like doing something else. Cause at this point I kind of knew like what was working for me, like with comedy and like that kind of joke. And so I started doing like a bunch of different versions of it. And then different things started catching on. And I was like, oh, this it's starting to make sense now. And then, you know, fast forward 2 years after that of just doing that. And then now it's like where it's at now. And I'm not even like near like where some people are like in the tens of millions on that app. And I'm like where I am, and it's already weird. Like, I'm not even at 1 million yet. Like, it feels like the whole app feels like a vanity metric, but I'm like, it does something though. And like, it's weird, but it was like never on purpose. And it was never like to get people to like listen to my music or anything. In fact, if I ever tried to make a video like that, it would just flop. Like, if that's what my videos were when I started, I'm pretty sure that I would be still at like 10 followers because I'd never get the response to then give me the insight to make videos that communicate to people. And before that, I had like no idea what that was. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was like crazy. And it just like blew up out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, like, and I'm still like, okay, like,
yeah. But once you found that was working, I think it was obviously the best move for you to double down and like, okay, this works. Let me make more of this. And it just kept working and it just kept growing. And now it's just like, it's got to a point where like, that's your thing. Like, that's like, you've made like a whole identity on that app, which is crazy.
It is. Yeah.
Have you seen any crossover to your different platforms and your different social medias?
Totally. I don't see it like, I see it more on Instagram just because like the button's built in. So it's like easier to find me there. But like what I started realizing was like Viper Club started gaining like a core group of like people that enjoyed it. Like, you know, like people that listened to it or whatever. And like they all came from TikTok.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I was like, oh, like that. And it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like
Amy
like
was
millions.
right.
I know. I was like, oh my God, she's right.
Amy's
and
always right.
She's a wizard, man.
She's
like,
always right.
And love her. Shout out Amy.
Yeah, shout out Amy.
Yeah,
dude, for
shout
real.
out Amy. And like, but yeah, like people started coming over and like getting involved with the music and stuff. And like now, like my life is so much different now because it's just like I see things differently, and like that crossover was like a really defining thing for me too, because it was like, oh shit, like people actually care about what I'm doing outside of making this joke.
Yeah.
Which was like honestly like really nice, because it's really easy when that happens to feel like that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
And that's the part I wasn't prepared for, was like, if it did pop off, would I be happy about it?
Yeah.
And so that was the thing where I was like, oh shit. Like when it popped off, I was like, I'm not playing guitar. I'm not singing anything. I'm just in my backyard making a joke. Like, what is this going to do for me? Like what? And like people were able to communicate through that, or I guess see through that and see that there were other things that I did, but like still to this day, that thing haunts me. I'm like, is this the move? Like, you know, every day I'm like, do I want to delete the app or not? Is today the day that Jackie BC dies? Like, it could be today. Yeah, who knows? But yeah. So that's the vibe on that. It's just like it's really cool. I'm really grateful for it because I've found a community of people that are really cool. I'm just kind of tired of cheering in my backyard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like, TikTok audience, stop freaking wanting these treads. Like, support this dude's music.
Dislike
all right,
the video.
Just
Let's get me the most hated video on TikTok.
something I found earlier when I was doing a little bit of research.
Oh shit. I have no idea what you're gonna say.
You are number 84,117 on most popular famousbirthdays.com. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You were in the top 100,000 famous people on famousbirthdays.com.
That's weird.
On the 21st night of September.
Dude.
That's crazy,
what
right?
What the hell? Yeah.
Crazy. But I saw that and I was like, man, Jackie VC made it,
Jackie
bro.
VC made it. He's in the top 100K.
Yes. It says
that's nuts.
TikTok star.
Oh, TikTok star. Oh my.
That's
dude. That's nutty.
If you're on famousbirthdays.com, dog,
you know
made it.
You know you've made it.
Freaking made it. Dude, I don't know who runs that account or that website, but
Famous birthdays.
They're influential. Whoever
they are influential. That is better not be fucking lying to me. They're so Oh, that's so true though. They are.
Yes, they are, man. And it's it was funny because I was looking up like your name and I was looking up your handle and then I typed in Jackie VC and it popped up. And I was like, dude, what? And I was like, no way. And yeah, like, and that's like overall, like 84,000, like overall, like not just TikTok stars, not just like certain people, like in TikTok stars, like you're within like the top 100.
Oh, really?
Some shit like that, bro.
Shit.
Like
that's
you're
crazy.
like
yeah,
up there, bro. Like I was like, dang.
Damn. Yeah,
this is for real.
That's a crazy number though.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm thinking about like how many people are in the world and I'm trying to like condense my brain to understand. I need like a bag of rice right now to just like show me like the difference in these numbers. Like I can't quite get it together on my own.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that like you're number 83,000 of like all the famous people in the world
blows my fucking mind.
That's
like,
pretty crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but yeah.
But I learn something new every day, guys. What can I say? This is what I learned today. I'm 84. I'm ranked in the top 100K
of famousbirthdays.com.
Famousbirthdays.com.
Yo,
let's go for number 5. We're gonna go for number 5 this year.
So man, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
Dude, thanks for having me.
So to wrap it up here, let's direct the people. So you got music coming out. You have your solo music coming out. You already have a song, Isn't She Lovely, the cover out. And when is the next song dropping?
The next song drops on August 18th.
August 18th. So
like a week.
This will probably be out like the week after that.
Oh, dope.
So that actually kind of works out nicely. So if you're listening to this, go stream the new song.
Yes.
What is it called?
Laughing Through It All.
Laughing Through It All by Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee is the artist name.
It's getting real.
Yeah, man. No, you got to follow this guy on Instagram at JackVDP, on TikTok at JackieVC. Viper Club, is it just at Viper Club?
Yeah.
Just at
Viper Club Band. I think
at
everywhere.
Viper Club Band everywhere.
That's just the easiest way.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah.
Viper Club Band.
Yeah, just type in Viper Club Band and you'll find
Viper Club Band. Don't be fucking lying to me either.
But to end the show for the very first time ever, Jack has agreed to perform a song for us here. This is why the guitar is out for us. So we're gonna link this up here. I might do a little cut, but yeah. So what song are you gonna be playing for us today, Jack?
I'm gonna play Laughing Through It All. I'm gonna play the single.
So this is the single. Awesome. And actually, we will have to do a cut because he has to tune it.
Yeah.
To open tuning.
Hey, that's cool.
All right, here, you want to do that first before I
Thank you, man.
Plug it in? Move that there. I got a snarky up there, too. Use that bad boy.
guitar and stuff? Oh. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Okay. That's totally fine. Yeah. And then I could deal with like a little bit, yeah. Yes, I wanna still. Yeah. Jason to your pill, and you left the front porch light on. The embers dying out, masquerading clouds, and you're laughing through it all. Alright.
How's it sound?
Sounds great.
Hell yeah. All right, for the very first time ever, my fellow Martians, let me grab him a pick real quick.
Hey, my fellow Martians, let me grab him a pick real quick. This needy son of a bitch. Thank you, bro.
All right, my fellow Martians, for the very first time ever, we have a musical performance on the pod. This is Jackson Lee performing his new single, Laughing Thru It All.
Thank you. Stretched out across the bed as you wonder where it all began. Just smell like you were out with your friends again. Devil left a paw print, crumbling the wall you built, sifting through it all with the guilt you used to hang your coat on. And you left the front porch light on. You let them sink your heart again. You said that doesn't happen. They made you build the wall and then you put yourself inside of it. Up inside of it. Bedside water still adjacent to your pill, and you left the front porch light on. The embers dying out, masquerading clouds, and you're laughing through it all. Put you on defense so a sweeter rain will fall again. You let them make their mark on your soul. A couple times you thought you saw the goal, but another broken heart is all you know. And everyone starts moving in, buying homes and making kids, and you can't help feel more and more. You think you'll never love somebody without a drink and talking hobbies, going home and touching bodies, morning breath and awkward coffee. Bedside water still adjacent to your pill, and you left the front porch light on. Embers dying out, masquerading clouds, and you're laughing through it all. So cold and shrill when they take away your will. You trust somebody, let alone fuck somebody. The embers dying out, and you wanted it somehow, and you're laughing through it all. And you're laughing through it all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Live on Mars.
Man, for the very first time ever, you guys need to go give this guy a follow. Go listen to him on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those. Jackson Lee, Viper Club. Thank you so much for coming on Mars, bro.
Thank you for having me,
freaking dog, man.
I just dapped you through that mic stand.
My dog, man.
Hey, what a way to end it.
For real though, Martians, thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, comment your favorite part below. Again, go follow this guy online on Instagram and all that stuff. He deserves all this love. Follow me at On Mars Pod, at Harry Mars _. We'll see you next time on Mars. Love you guys.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.